Good evening to each and everyone present over here. Complaining does not work as a strategy. We all have finite time and energy. Any time worth spent winning too unlikely to help us achieve our goals, and it won't make us happier. So stop complaining and enjoy the each and every moment. So, with this beautiful message, I, Tanvi Kendrikar, with my co host Harsha Jalan, would love to welcome you all for today's group discussion event. You must be wondering what is the occasion today. Just take a glimpse of the calendar. Today is 25th, World Day of Social Justice.
So, doing no further ado, let me introduce to Sarkari School. Sarkari School is the biggest initiative to build a platform for those working in the field of school education, uplifting the future of the younger generations through their hard work. Those who are not related to the government or any organization, but are helping the neglected strata of the Indian society. These heroes need recognition not only to appreciate the efforts, but to motivate others in terms of making things possible with no support, with just self determination.
So, initiative taken by Sarkari School, Project Vedana and Project Sambal together presents group discussion on the topic Menstrual Health and Hygiene, a matter of social justice. Project Vedna aims towards awareness campaigns to reduce school dropout in girls after menstruation in rural areas through active involvement of youth and creating conversation around normalizing the taboos and stereotypes around periods.
Project Sambal aims at spreading legal awareness among school going children in both rural as well as urban areas. This project aims to aware school children with basic legal knowledge so that we can enable them to know and how to use the child rights and constitutional rights as well as the duties.
So, before that, let me introduce to our beloved guest speaker, Miss Akanksha Sharma. Akanksha is a student at Lady Sri Ram College for Women, University for Delhi, pursuing an undergraduate degree in economics and political science. She has worked with the Global Governance Initiative South Asia number one soft skill platform and as a student consultant with the Breach Project, a pro bono consulting group. And also, she's the founder, chairperson of Pink Legal Club, Cornelia, which empowers and educates women about their rights. Her interests range from debates, discussion to writing and drawing. She also runs a blog, and her work has been published in five anthologies. In her free time, you will find her doodling or standing behind the mic for a spoken poetry. So now I would request her to say a few words for us.
Hi, I hope I'm audible. Let me begin with that.
Yeah, you're audible.
All right. Thank you so much, Tanvi, for that lovely introduction. Would you mind if I share my screen?
Yeah, you can share.
Sure. Give me a second.
You can see the share option, right? So just click on this and then
Yeah,
share the screen.
yeah. I hope my screen is visible.
No,
Let
actually
me
we
know.
can't see a screen. No, yeah, now we can see.
Sure. Okay. First of all, thank you so much, Tanvi and Sarkari School, for this opportunity and the warm welcome. And thank you, Abhishek sir, for considering me capable enough to be speaking on such an important topic and on such an important day. I'd directly begin because I know we are a little short on time. So I am one of the speakers. I am Akanksha, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm one of the speakers for today. It's a moment of honor for me to be speaking with Vaishnavi and all the other panelists who will be discussing on this very, very important and crucial topic today. Let's begin with, given that I'm the first speaker, I'll take the responsibility of explaining who are menstruators and what is social justice. So, when we talk about menstruation, generally what assumption we make is it's related to females, it's only related to girls, it's only related to women. But that's not true. Menstruators are also those menstruator is a very very broad term which comprises all those who menstruate, and it includes girls, women, transgender, and the non-binary gender of the society. And I really hope the panel discussion does take this into consideration, and I think they will definitely take this into consideration. Moving ahead, since we are talking about social justice, it's the International Day of Social Justice, we need to understand what social justice is. And I'm going to give you a very layperson definition of what social justice is. So in the most simplest terms, when we talk about we consider menstrual health and hygiene as a matter of social justice, we just mean to say that all the resources, all the opportunities and privileges that are distributed in the society, they should be justified. That distribution should be uh, there should be justice in that distribution, and that simply means social justice pertaining to menstruation. This was the very, very brief introduction about the topic, given that I'm the first speaker. And I'll head on to the topic. I'll head on to what I have to say today. But before that, let me tell you a story, come very, very personal incident of my life. And maybe you can consider this to be the reason why I'm working in this field today and why this topic is really close to my heart. So the story goes like, once upon a time when I was in class 9 and I got my first periods, I did not know how to use a pad. It was a moment, I was very upset at that moment, but what upset me even more, what maybe gave me a lot of anxiety, was that people mocked at me. They told me, girls, my friends, they told me that I did not know how to use a pad just because their mothers had taught them how to use a sanitary napkin, and I did not have that privilege. But this particular moment of disappointment turned into a shock when my other menstruator friend, my other friend who taught me how to use a pad, told me I just got unlucky. And she was lucky because she had gotten her first period at home, and her mom was present there at that impromptu moment to help her, teach her how to use a pad. Now, why is this story important? Because this gave me three of the most important lessons of my life. A, awareness is privileged. All those students, all my friends who had the opportunity to have a conversation around menstruation at their homes, they had the privilege of having a good background, having a background wherein conversations around menstruation were common in their household, but not for me and many other girls like me. Second lesson is that menstruation is considered a taboo. Although I knew what periods are, I did not know how to use a pad, but I did know how I had to keep it a secret from my male friends and from my father and from my brother. I did not talk about about my periods for months from them with them. So it had to be a secret, and that ingrained taboo that is associated with menstruation came along with it. Third, it's a matter of celebration. Yes, ironically, despite it being a taboo, it is a matter of celebration because I was congratulated by my friends and my mother was equally happy for me, for this onset of menstruation thing in me. And all these three learnings made me delve deeper into the topic, and this is why I'm here today. I'm going to tell you what's happening in India around menstruation. I have three major points that I want all of you to take note of and bring to light through this discussion today. A, the expensive menstrual products. According to census 2011, we have noted that 70% of Indian population lives in rural area, and 75% of those 70% earn 33 rupees per day. The price of a sanitary napkin packet, the price of a packet of sanitary napkin is 88 rupees. It means a woman needs to sacrifice three meals, literally 3 days of meals of her family to ultimately get access to sanitary napkins, and this leads to adopting unhygienic, unhealthy practices, which is my second point, that is soil and ash to soak up period blood. Yes, this is a thing happening in India, in the state of Bihar, wherein people are so poor, women cannot even afford clothes for them, for themselves, wherein that can be used to soak period blood. So they resort to soil and ash to soak up that period blood, which is a very, very disastrous process for their health. It even leads to cancer. We have to talk about it. And of course, India is that diverse country wherein we have so many cultures, so many religions, and every particular culture, community, religion, everything has its own every particular community has their own notion about periods, about women being impure during periods, about them not entering the kitchen, them not worshipping, etc., etc., and whatnot. I think you've heard about the Sabrimala case, and all this controversy was around menstruation. Moving ahead, this is the last part. What do we need, and what is the need of the hour? We need free menstrual products, and yes, that's the most important need, because we will not be the first ones to demand the same. New Zealand has already made menstruation products, all everything related to menstruation free, and we need that too, because a person earning 33 rupees a day will not be able to buy 88 rupees ka packet of sanitary napkin. We need free menstrual products, and that's how we'll be able to attain social justice with respect to menstruation. Second, awareness isn't enough. We need to change social norms. Just like I was aware of what periods are, but social norms around me did not allow for a conversation between me and my parents about what menstruation is and how to use a pad. That's exactly what we need. We need to change that social norm. We need to change that taboo around menstruation. And third thing, we need hygiene. All the campaigners around menstruation, they keep hygiene as their agenda, but health is very little talked about. Due to paucity of time, I'll not be elaborating on what health conditions, and there are multiple disorders that come along with menstruate along with people around along with menstruation. When we get when menstruation onsets, and all the menstruators face, we it's not just physical, it's mental as well. So along with hygiene, we also need to take good care of good amount we need to spend good amount of time and focus, and we need to be vocal about our health as well. PCOD, PCOS, all those mood swings, irritability, and all those mental health issues due to the unhygienic practices adopted, we need to be vocal about it. These are the 3 points that I had to say. And I'd end it on a note that if you are someone who is working in this field, or are curious about working, interested in working in this field, I and my team at PLC Cornelia would love to help you. Feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn, Instagram, or over email. Everything is shared on the screen. And thank you so much for this opportunity. I look forward to hearing all my forthcoming speakers, Vaishnavi, and all the panelists here. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for your insightful views. I believe they were great, and everyone actually got a great understanding how to actually go about the discussion. The second guest speaker for today is Ms. Vaishnavi Chauhan. Vaishnavi is a researcher, policy advocate, and a political science enthusiast. She wishes to utilize her knowledge to strive for social justice and equality for all people. She has done her studies in political science and history from Gargi College, Delhi University. I would now request her to say a few words. Over to you. You are on mute, Vaishnavi.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Thank you, Harsha. I want to thank Abhishek sir and Sarkari School for giving me this opportunity. I would like to use this time to share with you the story of Priyanka Godke, a 13 years old teen. One day, like any other day, she went to school and was shocked to see a red stain on her school uniform. The teen had no idea what the spreading patch of blood was. She got scared and asked her teacher about it. But her teacher simply asked her to go back home. Next came banishment. She was barred from entering temples, touching food, water, kitchen utensils, and even other human beings. She was temporarily faced to live in period huts and had to rely on unhygienic alternatives as her family could not afford any sanitary products. Priyanka also did not have adequate washroom facilities in her class, and she felt humiliated when she was forced to sit in the corner of her classroom while she had her period. The shame she felt meant shattering of her dreams of becoming a doctor. She quit school at the age of 16. Good evening, everyone. My name is Vaishnavi Chauhan, and on the occasion of World Social Justice Day, I am truly honored to stand beside all of you in our fight for true social justice for girls like Priyanka, whose story, though tragic, is not unique. It is rather a microcosm of a systematic injustice that has been left unaddressed for far too long. 200 million girls are not taught about basic menstrual hygiene. Nearly 90% of women uses unhygienic alternatives to sanitary napkins and tampons. Like Akansha said, sandbags, newspapers, dried leaves, because of its high cost. And 63 million adolescent girls in the country live without toilet facilities. All this leads to absenteeism of girls from school, and they miss around 20% of the school in a year due to menstruation, which is actually the second major reason after household works for girls to miss school. Even today, the practice of banishment is still prevalent amongst many tribes in parts of India like Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, and Orissa. These women face untouchability and are expected to make it through their cycle within the hut in isolation. This shows how deep rooted and far reaching the social injustice truly is. Let's be sure about one thing: stigmatization of menstruation is a social injustice. Period poverty, that is, lack of access to sanitary products, menstrual hygiene education, wash facilities, is a social injustice. And it often exists simply because the people upholding the social order are privileged enough to not face the direct consequence of this issue and the lack of ability to walk in the shoes of somebody who actually is. The worst happened when that injustice has been prevalent for so long that people start seeing it as a part of their cultural and societal fabric rather than something that is wrong and needs to be addressed. The first step towards any meaningful progress in menstrual health management is to accept that it's an injustice that affects all of us regardless of our gender or privilege. Our apathy towards those struggling for basic facilities and dignity plays a major role in degradation of the women's situation. India could learn from the example of Scotland in dealing with period poverty. While scrapping the tampon tax is a step in right direction, it's about time that India gives millions of women below poverty line the right to menstrual hygiene by making all period products free. They should not be discriminated against just because the society lacks basic knowledge about menstruation. More and more social awareness programs should be conducted to remove the stigma and shame around menstruation. Women should not be seen differently because of a completely natural biological process. In the end, I would like to leave you all with a few things, very small few things to think about. How many of you are comfortable to talk about menstruation with your parents? How many of you are comfortable to bring pads for your mothers or sisters without carrying them in black poly bags? How many of you are willing to leave your conveniences and question the wrongful practices of women not being able to go to temples or kitchen while they're menstruating? The day we get comfortable in doing these things, and all the women and girls across the world get access to proper menstrual health hygiene as their basic right, that day we can take a big step forward in restoring the dignity of girls like Priyanka. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vaishnavi. I believe your views were very insightful and I learned a lot from you today. Moving ahead, uh, let's talk about the rules and regulations for the group discussion event today. So, all four panelists will have to give their opening statement of maximum 5 minutes each, and then we'll have to do the open discussion, followed by speaker will have to state a closing statement. Try to keep it as clean as possible. No use of foul language is allowed. And keep your mics on mute when the other speakers are speaking.
Okay, so what are we waiting for? Let's start with a group discussion on the topic menstrual health and hygiene, a matter of social justice. So before that, I would request our first speaker for the event, Avni. She's a second year economics student. So please, Avni, come forward and state your opening statement.
All right, hello everyone. To begin with, I'll start. Did you know that only 20% menstruators in India use sanitary pads? And in urban areas, this number only goes up to 52%. What that would mean is that almost 50% of people in urban areas as well do not have access to period products. Furthermore, more than a third of girls in South Asia miss school due to lack of access to menstrual health products. They receive little or no education about menstruation. Reports suggest that 71% of adolescent girls remain unaware of menstruation until their first cycles. School dropout rates among young girls in school in India is very high. It has been found that poor school attainment reduces a person's economic potential. Compromised education not only affects young girls but also the whole community. A nation's economy and wealth greatly benefit from an educated female population. Good evening, everyone. I'm Avni, and I'll be speaking on the economic impact of menstrual shame.
Thank you so much, Avni. Now, the second speaker for the event is Aryan Patnikar. He is a Snowfall student, MIT Pune. In his leisure time, he loves to find harmony while playing sensuous music on his piano, reading books, or learning a new language. Aryan, you can start with your opening statement now. Over to you.
Hello everyone present here. I thank Sarkari School and their whole team for inviting me here. Did you know, all around the world and throughout history, women have been ashamed, sequestered, and medicalized for bleeding regularly. It is now our duty to make it right. A very hearty good evening to everyone present here. My name is Sarin Patitar, and today I am here to bust some myths regarding menstruation.
Thank you so much, Aryan. Khushi Mehra, the third speaker of the event. She is the first year law student at Amity University, Kolkata. She is very passionate about human rights issues and aspires to become a human rights lawyer. So, Khushi, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kusha Gupta. So, as we know, more than half of the world's population deals with periods every month, but not everybody can afford sanitary products. Periods have been a fact of life, but they have never been understood. Ancient Romans thought menstruating women could stop hailstorms and kill crops. Medieval Europeans thought period blood was linked to leprosy. It wasn't until the 19th century that doctors realized they were related to ovulation. Modern scientific products were made in 1929 and since then have become a popular method of dealing with periods. The average woman spends around $24,000 on sanitary products in their lifetime. But not everybody has the same privilege, which leads us to today's topic, period poverty.
Thank you, Khushi. Our fourth speaker, Tursa Mukherjee, currently pursuing BBA LLB from NMIMS Law School. She loves traveling to new places and watching brain teasing movies. She is a very passionate and motivated person who believes in taking a leap and trying new things. Over to you.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I would like to start my opening statement by stating two examples. In 2017, in a school of Tamil Nadu, 12-year-old girl of class 7 committed suicide after menstrual shaming. According to her mother, her period started during her class where she was given a duster cloth to be used as a pad. The, the next day, she did not bear the humiliation and committed suicide due to harassing and torturing by the teacher in the class as written in the suicide note. Around 70 girls of Kasturba school hostels were ordered to remove their clothes by the hostel warden to check for menstrual blood after she found blood stains in the washroom. This shameful act happened in Muzaffarnagar, UP in March 2017. These are two instances, and we know there are many instances around the world, or maybe we have also been a part of such instances. Menstruation and menstrual practices still face many social, cultural, and religious restrictions, which are being barrier in the path of menstrual hygiene management. In many parts of the country, especially rural areas, people are not prepared and aware about the menstruation, so they face many difficulties and challenges at home, schools, and workplaces. Menstrual hygiene is vital to the empowerment and well being of women, girls, and other menstruators. Menstrual hygiene is vital to it is not just about access to sanitary pads and appropriate toilets, though those are very important. It is also about ensuring women and children live in an environment that values and supports their ability to manage their menstruation with dignity. With this, I would like to speak on the topic laws and schemes initiated towards menstrual hygiene in India.
Thank you so much, Tosa. Okay, so further, let's see what our panelists have to say more about the topics. Avni?
All right. To begin our discussion, I'd like to introduce everyone to two terms. The first is economic empowerment, and the second is period poverty. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation, economic empowerment is the capacity of men and women to participate in, contribute to, and benefit from growth processes in ways that recognize the value of their contributions, respect their dignity, and make it possible to negotiate a fairer deal of the benefits of growth. The second term, as a guest speaker has already discussed, is period poverty. I'll quickly go over it. Period poverty refers to the lack of access to menstrual products, education, hygiene facilities, and waste management. Now, it is important to note that period poverty is strongly linked to school absenteeism. A lot of reports have suggested this. A quarter of female students in India drop out of school once they start menstruating. This is due to unavailability of sanitation facilities as well as period products. Now, in the 21st century, where women are redefining and modifying independence, lack of menstrual health facilities often leads to girls dropping out of school and women quitting work. This would mean a lesser number of women in the workforce and a lower GDP. It has been found that empowered women and dignified work is critical for better business. According to World Bank figures, with every 1% increase in the proportion of women with secondary education, a country's annual per capita income grows by 0.3%. Women's contribution in GDP is as important as men's. Closing the unemployment gap between adolescent girls and boys would result in up to 1.2% increase in GDP. So, in a single year, there would be a tremendous growth in GDP if only we close the unemployment gap. Overall, education has a tremendous impact on girls' health, safety, and livelihoods. A menstruator's future earnings grow with every extra year of primary education. A woman who's educated marries later, has fewer children, and is much less likely to experience sexual abuse. A help desk report by the University of Leeds tells us that though there is less quantitative data on menstrual health management and its link with girls' health and education, there is more than enough qualitative sources. Taboos and stereotypes about periods often hold menstruators back. Menstrual restrictions, such as exclusion from social activities and no interaction with males, lead to economic consequences. Where increasing number of women are engaging in the workforce with men, this could be a serious problem. Across the globe, it is important to make people aware of the sensitivity and nuances of menstrual health. One should be aware of all correct precautions when it comes to their health so that it doesn't disrupt their education or compromise their work culture. The more awareness about menstrual health is spread, the more healthy would the menstruators of India be. Addressing period stigma, an often invisible problem that is central to half the world's population, is critical to progress, and the first step is bringing attention to it. More people at all levels of decision making and society need to speak out loud and clear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Avni. Aryan, over to you.
Without further ado, let me start my topic. Today, I will be talking about both global myths that have been prevalent around the world and some Indian specific myths as well. Myth 1: Women shed impure blood during periods. This is an extremely common misconception that period blood is dirty or impure, as most people fail to understand its reality. The menstrual blood is the same blood that circulates throughout the body. It has just been oxidized to give a darker color and is secreted along with some tissues. Myth 2: You cannot exercise while you are on a period. There is no scientific evidence that exercising while on your period can harm your physical health. In fact, exercising is good for a sound body and mind and can even help reduce the pain due to menstrual cramps. Though there are no risks to physical activities like walking, one should avoid a high incentive workout. Myth 3: There is one best way to deal with period blood: tampons, pads, menstrual cups. There are a lot of different methods to soak up menstrual blood. Our own assumptions might make one think that one method is better than another, when in reality, each has its pros and cons. For example, pads can be useful for young girls who have just gone through their period, or any women who feel uncomfortable using a tampon or menstrual cup. Panty liners, which are thin pads, can be used if you have light bleeding. Some women prefer to use a tampon because of its convenience, especially when playing sports or just swimming. Fact myth 4: You should not eat sour items during period. Some women avoid eating sour food during periods, but there is no scientific evidence to support the claim that you cannot do so. It is important for women to consume a healthy and balanced diet during a period and avoid junk food to avoid period related issues. Myth 5: It is not safe to swim during your periods. Swimming and taking baths during your period does not increase the risk of infection. Additionally, period blood does not contaminate pool or bath water as it does not contain bacteria. However, to simply prevent a mess, one should apply a tampon or menstrual cup prior to getting in the water. Now, let's talk about some Indian specific myths. Myth 1: Women menstrual blood is dirty and shouldn't be allowed near any water bodies. In Hinduism, it is believed that bodily secretions are believed to be polluting, as are the bodies when polluting them. All women, regardless of their social caste or background, incur population throughout the bodily process of menstruation and childbirth alike. And since water is considered to be the most common medium of purification, as the water protection of water source from such pollution, as they are the physical manifestation of some Hindu deities like Ganga, is therefore the key factor behind this myth. This highlights the possible reason why menstruating women are not allowed to take a bath, especially for the first few days of their menstrual period. But female should still take care of their daily hygiene. Myth 2: Women are not allowed in the kitchen during menstruation. It is believed that menstruating women are unhygienic and unclean, hence, the food they prepare or handle can get contaminated. However, as long as general hygiene measures are taken into account, there is no scientific test that shows menstruation can be a reason for spoilage of any food in making. The last myth, myth 3: Women should bury their clothes during menstruation to prevent them from being used by evil spirits. While there is no evil spirits in cloth, it is usually advised to use sanitary napkins and pads for safety reasons and dispose of them after use, as dried out pads worn over a long time can cause localized allergic reactions, which leads to irritation, itchiness, and uneasiness. Also, proper disposal of used pads should be taught to all, as they can harbor serious infectious agents for conditions like HIV too, and they need to be disposed of, especially when it comes to such patients. In villages, some people reuse them. Yes, it sounds a little disturbing, but I agree with my other panelist, as life is not fair to many. To some, every penny, and yes, every pad counts. But if it's all they have to be reused, they must be washed properly, completely dried up in sunlight, and stored properly. With these myths busted, I would like to conclude my speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aryan, for highlighting the myths and the facts. So, the third speaker, Khushi, over to you.
Okay, so let's begin today's discussion with a question. What is period poverty? So, period poverty is when people cannot afford to buy sanitary products. Not having access to basic sanitary facilities or products can deprive people of their dignity and can be accepted as a socioeconomic right. Girls are sometimes forced to miss schools because of period poverty, resulting in a breach of their right to education. The unjust taxation of menstrual products as a luxury goods is an issue of discrimination based on sex, as Bridget J. Crawford perfectly puts. The tampon tax is a rights issue because menstrual hygiene affordability. Access to menstrual hygiene products is inseparably linked to rights to health, sanitation, education, dignity, and work, among other rights. Menstrual hygiene rights are human rights, as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states it in its preamble that all human beings should be recognized for their inherent dignity. It also states we should all have a right to health. Not having sanitary products can seriously affect someone's health and hygiene. So there have been some measures taken by the government to combat period poverty. I would be mentioning one of them. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has introduced a scheme for the promotion of menstrual hygiene among adolescent girls in the age group of 10 to 19 years in the rural areas as the menstrual hygiene scheme. The major objectives of the scheme are to increase awareness among adolescent girls on menstrual hygiene, to increase access to and use of high quality sanitary napkins to adolescent girls in rural areas, to ensure disposal of sanitary napkins in an environmental friendly manner. So we can call for a change. In the past, many judgments from different high courts have issued directives for raising awareness among menstrual hygiene management and improving the conditions of the women's health sector with an aim to provide better opportunities. The new directives by the Karnataka and Jammu Kashmir High Court have once again tried to remind us of the importance of improving the menstrual hygiene and hygiene facilities for girls and women. India, being the fastest developing nation, needs equal manpower and literacy to grow more. Menstruation should not be one of the reasons that hinders India's growth. Nobody should be disadvantaged by biological process that they can't control. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kushi. So, Tosa, you can please continue.
So, I would first like to start with the topic of the Sabrimala temple case. So, in September 28, 2018, the Supreme Court delivered its verdict in the Sabrimala temple entry case. A 4:1 majority held that temple's practice of excluding women is unconstitutional. It is held that the practice violated the fundamental right of freedom of religion, that is Article 25(1) of female worshippers, and struck down Rule 3B of Kerala Hindu Places of Public Worship Act as unconstitutional. So, Rule 3B allowed Hindu denominations to exclude women from public places to worship if the exclusion was based on custom. In 2017, the state of Kerala took the initiative and announced the She Paid scheme aiming to provide sanitary napkins to all girl students. In 2018, instead of subsidizing the menstrual pads, Indian government had imposed 12% GST on them, which is not very much affordable to all the people who menstruate. Same year, Delhi High Court issued an order in Setu Niket versus Union of India mandating the Delhi government to provide or subsidize access to menstrual hygiene products in school and to make arrangements for education of menstruation and menstrual hygiene. Menstrual hygiene program promotes menstruation hygiene among adolescent girls in the age group of 10 to 19 years. This program comes under Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram. 3 packs of sanitary napkins are issued to all puberty attained adolescents. The napkins are issued in 6 rounds. School-going adolescents will receive napkin from school teachers. These sanitary napkins are sold under the brand Free Days by Asha at a subsidized rate of rupees 6 for a packet of 6 napkins. Similarly, Government of India introduced other schemes such as the Sabla programs launched by Ministry of Women and Child Development, which aims to promote awareness awareness and service health, hygiene, nutrition, and reproductive and sexual health. National Rural Livelihood Mission of Ministry of Rural Development aims to support self-help groups and and small manufacturers to provide sanitary pads at an effective cost. Shuchi scheme of menstrual hygiene scheme, launched by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, aims to provide packs of sanitary napkins to girls in rural areas at a minimum price with safe disposal and raise awareness about menstruation. Kishori Shakti Yojana, also initiative of Ministry of Women and Child Development, targets to improve the health, nutrition, and development of status of adolescent girls. Under Suvidha brand, the government is selling biodegradable, affordable sanitary pads to women. Suvidha pads are sold at Janashuddhi Kendras or general stores that provide quality medicines at affordable prices. During 2019 Lok Sabha elections, the Election Commission itself adopted a strategy to incentivize women by voting and incentivize women to vote by distributing free sanitary napkins. In Bihar, Mausam Kumari started a sanitary pad bank 4 years ago, based on the idea of microfinance savings with a voluntary contribution of rupee 1 from young girls and women. During the lockdown, she was able to distribute free sanitary napkins in all the villages all across the district. Arunachalam Muruganantham Padman is the social entrepreneur from Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu, India. He is the inventor of low-cost sanitary pad making machine and is credited for innovating grassroots mechanism for generating awareness about traditional unhygienic practices around the menstruation in India. He is currently planning to expand his production of these machines to 106 nations. We all are aware about the movie Padman, which came 2 to 3 years back. So, and I am pretty sure that while going to watch that movie, many of the parents were like, "Arey, what type of movie is this? How can they promote such movie? How can they show such movie in the public platform?" But ironically, this movie was a very good hit and it actually helped a lot of people to get to know and get to be aware about the menstruation. And also, it also helped men to know what women go through, and it led to a open discussion about menstruation. By this, I would like to end my speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tosa. So it was the all the speakers. The information was very informative. I really loved it. So I would request Avneet to state her closing statement for today's group discussion event.
Yeah, okay. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. Not having access to basic sanitary products can deprive menstruators of their dignity and can be accepted as a socio-economic right. Nobody should be disadvantaged by a biological process that they can't control. Amidst all the taboos and myths around menstrual hygiene, there is still hope for acceptance of menstruation and social justice. Tax incentives in menstrual products, distribution of free pads, accurate age appropriate information, and providing strong moral and social support is crucial. It is our duty to spread awareness among the members of our society. The Government of India and other organizations around the world have taken several measures in contribution towards menstrual hygiene by introducing various schemes and scraping out age old religious laws surrounding menstruation. But while these laws and schemes are in process, it is important to keep check on the implementation of them. Changing social norms is rarely fast and easy, and menstrual practices are no exception. Only a fully holistic approach can rid communities of discriminatory social norms that turn a normal human body function into a shameful secret.
I totally agree with you. I loved the confidence in each one of you. All the panelists stated nothing but the truth. Listening to this group discussion, I have just one thing to say, that is, menstruation is not a taboo. It's a blessing for all the girls, transgenders over here. Let's be open about it and not only educate the girls but also the other genders.
Okay, okay. Okay, so there is always the end for the event. So before happily ending the event, I, Tanvi Kendrikar, would love to address on behalf of the Sarkari School, Project Vedna and Project Sambal the vote of thanks. A special thanks to our chief guest, beloved chief guest, Akanksha Sharma and Vaishnavi Chauhan for accepting our invitation and for being here with us today. And also would love to thank our beloved supervisor Abhishek sir for always helping us out, and also to our panelists to share their views on the topic. Also thank you to all the members who directly or indirectly helped us to make this event successful. And also last but not the least, to our audience, thank you so much for encouraging us. And also, please do subscribe our Sarkari School YouTube channel and follow us on our Instagram pages, Project Vedna, Project Sambal, and Sarkari School. Thank you and have a great future ahead.